that's real. Cause your photos too sexy. Shorty, follow me on Instagram right now. Cause I really wanna check your photos now. You do that, I can't get enough of you. And that's real. Cause your photos too sexy. What's up, girl? Where have you been? Long time no see. You just disappeared. I really wanna see you again. Follow me on Instagram at your boy Banks with letter Z.
Episode 90 A-League Show. What's going on, everybody? What is happening? What is going on? What is actually going on outside? Like, it just seems as though to me, like, for some reason it was relatively warm like a few weeks ago. Then all of a sudden it just dropped like that. Like, what's going on around here? What is going on around here? Episode 90.
Global warming. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing?
Says our president. No disrespect. No disrespect.
Something is definitely happening outside. Something is definitely happening outside. But a lot has definitely happened. Since the last time we recorded. It seems as though that, like I said, it seems as though that everything is just going down precipitous drop. The Red Sox won another World Series, another championship for Boston. Like, that's something I kind of want to get into before we get into the other stuff. Like, Boston is hella spoiled when it comes to championships. Like, they hella spoiled.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's. You want to talk about a title town? That's title town.
Yeah, that's title town. No, shout out to Green Bay. Sorry, Green Bay, but
forget
you
Green Bay.
Boston title town.
It's title town.
Who? Where?
Valdosta, Georgia.
Valdosta. Shout out to Valdosta, Georgia. You know a little bit about Valdosta. Shout them out.
Shout out Valdosta. You know what I'm saying? Valdosta High. You know what I'm saying? Lowndes County. Shout out, Valdosta State. Come on now, one of the greatest D2 football programs in the history of D2 football.
Jeremy, you got Roman in here too. You two repping Athens. You got to have a rebuttal to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Valdosta, is that in Georgia?
That's right on the tip of Georgia. I don't count that. So,
man,
as far as Athens goes, we don't have no championship. So.
Yeah, that's not title.
Wow.
That's dead to us. The closest we've been to a championship was the last time that I played football.
You said Georgia?
Athens.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because, just a couple months
ago. You trying to say Jeremy played for UGA?
No.
That hurt, man. That hurt.
My senior year, we went to the state championship game and lost.
Oh, man.
That was just. I guess you could say Georgia was close, but
We'll see if
that didn't happen to me.
If Marietta can buy them a championship this year. Playoffs start next week. Let's go, Big Blue.
The crazy thing is that I looked at their record and they're like 4-5 or 5-4, and I'm like, they went out and bought a college team and still can't beat high school teams.
Well, because that's their non-region record, or they played like the top teams in the country. So they went to D.C. and played a game. They had a team from Virginia come down to Marietta and
from
play
Virginia. My alma mater, Alexander High. We ain't getting nowhere near state championship anytime soon. Just saying.
But I think Marietta went undefeated in region play.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
I hadn't followed them.
I think they won region.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We ain't getting anywhere near no state championship anytime soon. So so much going on. It is playoff season in high school. High school football, of course, and plus we also mentioned how is it that that Boston wins so many championships. Atlanta, we ain't got nothing. So that's going on. Midterm elections going on in a couple of days. Make sure you got your voter registration. Make sure if you haven't haven't already voted, make sure that you do vote.
I already voted.
Get out and vote.
Absolutely. Once again, it's time to take it to the polls.
Though, because I'm still voting. And,
Can I vote for Obama?
You can write him in.
A lot of people wanted to write him in a couple of years ago, for sure.
Write him in for governor. Barack Obama.
Can he still do that?
Nah, that's over with.
Yeah, he
Because
man.
only the write-in people that can win are people who declared themselves as write-in candidates.
Yeah.
So I used to do something real stupid. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but a lot of times if it was only a candidate that I didn't like and he was the only person that ran unopposed, I would put in Brandon McCarthy, who's Lil B's name, and or Donald Glover I voted for a couple times.
Of course.
I just write in some random names.
Oh, of course, Donald Glover, that's your boy. That's your dude.
Unopposed candidate to win. But I stopped doing that now. I just started voting for the unopposed guy.
Isn't Obama actually campaigning in Georgia for Stacey Abrams?
Yeah. He was in Florida too.
Oh,
they
for
booed him
Gillum
in Florida.
and Nelson.
Yeah, they booed him in Florida.
Oh yeah, you know how Florida can be, how Florida can be sometimes, But yeah, absolutely for sure. So lots going on there. Also, lots going on Saturdays as well, in terms of college football. Lots going on. Yeah. Shout out UGA.
We're going back to Atlanta. going back to Atlanta.
I don't think there was any doubt. Like,
there was.
I don't know why there was like any like controversy or any hype leading up to the Kentucky and Florida games.
Because they were ranked 9th.
I always
Never
thought
lost.
that UGA was like the clear cut. Like, I thought LSU was kind of an upset of sorts. But like Jeremy said, after that loss, it was kind of like he knew that they weren't going to go undefeated in the regular season. Like, they were going to lose to one of those teams on the road. So, I mean, it just so happened to be LSU. LSU's got a great defense. They held Bama to like under 56 points. So anybody who could do that is good with me, man.
And put up a goose egg at the same time. Put up a complete goose egg at the same time. So you can hold a team like Bama to 29, but if you just put up a goose egg, they might as well have scored 56.
I mean,
I don't know, man. I'd rather them score 29 and we have a goose egg than you score 56 and we score 21.
But this was something. This is when you're as good a team as LSU and you're going up against Bama and you have a chance to really make a statement to say, okay, we're going to beat Bama this year. They put up 29 of you. That's one thing. But you don't score anything? I'm sorry. I would rather have them just blow us out. Just put up a 50 spot on us if we can't score. Because it don't matter.
In LSU's defense, that 29-0 felt like 75-0.
Thank you. So, exactly.
I mean, if you go back in 10 years and look at the score and say, oh, that wasn't that bad. You didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah.
They got beat down.
The final score does not tell the entire story sometimes.
I mean, that just show you Alabama's just in a lead of their own,
And they never had a quarterback before. When their entire dynasty, they never had a quarterback really.
Tua is the real deal. I got to give it. Tua is the real deal.
Is he the Heisman now?
He's in the run. I think he's gonna get it.
Yeah,
I was thinking maybe somebody else, but I think it's his.
He would literally have to throw like 8 interceptions in the last 4 games.
And he ain't doing that no time
He's
soon.
not doing that.
No, he's not doing that.
If he come out and lay an egg against Auburn and then he lay an egg against Georgia in the SEC championship game, like, okay, maybe. But even that, I would just be like, I don't really know who else is out there. I mean, like, there's no one I would just say, yeah, he deserves it.
I think Kyler Murray was in the conversation at the beginning of the year.
He's definitely got the stats, but he doesn't have that. The Heisman's more about, I don't know. It seems to be
special moments.
You need to have that moment, and Tua had his moment last night.
Right.
So
big game. I mean,
and it helps.
Oklahoma.
He plays for Alabama, so he's on national TV all the time.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps that he plays for, the number one team, which by the way, it pains me just to say, Alabama's the number one team once again. Anybody but Bama, please.
That's not going to happen. So.
Oh, man. Like, can there be like another moment where, like a couple of years ago, like we had this, with Deshaun Watson with Clemson, and they just ripped Bama's heart out of like again with Alabama? Like, honestly?
Yeah.
Again with Alabama. Your dogs better show up. Your dogs better show up.
Show up where?
They better show up.
We gonna be there. But what do you mean by showing up? We gonna be there.
I mean, avenge last year. Somebody.
You might well leave that.
Somebody.
Dream. You might well leave that dream or that anger from last year. You might well hold that until next year, because there is no way on God's green earth that Georgia is beating Alabama in the SEC championship game.
So the season is over.
It's not over. It was a great season. I mean.
So the season is over. So we're just going to give the national.
Yeah, we'll take the Sugar Bowl.
Are we giving the national championship to Alabama?
Yes.
Oh man. Then the season is over. We're on to college basketball.
Me and Jeremy was talking on the way up here. We was like, has that ever been a dynasty just as dominant as Alabama been? I mean, you can say to you, but would you say they've been as dominant as Alabama been?
I don't know.
UCLA?
I don't know.
UCLA.
In basketball, yeah, but in football.
I mean, in football, I can't think of one. Like, even Miami, like I said, like me and you were saying, I don't really think they won this many championships. I don't know that for a fact. I wasn't alive then. So, but even the more recent version of the Miami dynasty, they got one title and then they lost to Ohio State, and that was just kind of it for them. So I mean, there was a lot of great players that came through that program, but they didn't have the great program on top of the great coaches. Like they were known for their players. Alabama got the players, and they got probably the greatest football coach I've ever seen.
Rest in peace, Sean Taylor.
Yeah, like that. Like they had guys like that up and down their roster for years, and they only got one title out of that. And then Nick Saban. I mean, as much as I don't dislike Nick Saban like I do Bill Belichick in the NFL. I dislike Bill Belichick for how he treats the media.
Yeah, Belichick is a you-know-what to the media.
But
you can tell he doesn't like doing pressers.
Nick Saban has shown that he's capable of doing that, but I really feel like his is out of genuine concern for his football team. Like when he says things, he's frustrated with the media because he don't want his football team to get, into the hype, or it's actually there's a strategy behind it. Bill Belichick's just doing it just because he's not obligated to tell us anything.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Bama win the national championship and Maria Taylor doing the post-game interview with Nick Saban and asking him, is Tua the starter now?
Thank you. Nice.
You should ask her that at the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
At the Heisman Trophy
Is he still
ceremony.
well, we're going to do what's best for our football team. We're going to go out there. We're going to make a decision next week.
What? Who's that? Was that Belichick that after the Super Bowl that was like, we got to get back to work on Monday? And
That's
gonna
a
be there
pure
by
deep
yourself.
Belichickian answer, Shad.
Oh,
that's something Belichick would say.
that was Saban.
That was Saban? Yeah.
They beat-
That was
Saban?
one of them.
They
That
beat
said that.
LSU
I remember.
in the national championship a couple years ago, and they asked Nick Saban, how does this one feel, and blah, blah, blah. He was like, yeah, this one's cool, and I'm happy we won, and I'm going to get back on the road to start recruiting Monday.
Man.
What? Today's Monday. Oh, really? He disappeared mid-interview. And went to recruit.
Man, it's one of those things where sometimes when you hear these coaches and they speak at these pressers, like Belichick is saying, sometimes I wish one of them would just pop off and just go full Richard Sherman.
I mean, you got to – hey, you know what, though? I respect that because that's how at the end of your career your legacy is going to be.
True.
Oh, wow, this man was really great at what he did. That's how you get there. Constantly wanting to be better. So I'm not going to knock him for that. So
Yeah, true.
that's why the man has 6 championships. And
That's
that's why
why-
he's on the way to number 7 this year.
That's why the man's the highest paid public employee in the entire state of Alabama.
I mean,
That among other reasons.
Among other reasons, too. So, yeah.
Speaking of
yeah.
Bama, I think they have no chance of the Democratic candidate winning.
oh, no. I don't even know why we even talking
And then
about that.
and then Georgia is gonna be tough. Florida's gonna be tough. Like all these states that bringing out Obama and Oprah and stuff like that, I think it's still gonna be really
Well,
tough.
last year, let's remember Doug Jones, Alabama. He did beat Roy Moore, that pedophile.
It literally took like the dude, being like, this dude abused 8-year-old boys in 1965 for the Democrat to win.
8-year-old
Like,
girls.
Exactly. And I don't know.
Man.
Whatever he did, either way is nasty. But
Right.
I think it would be really tough. Because you got to think, man, these are like very, very racist states. And then I think we have a misconstrued vision of perception of Georgia. Like, I don't think Jeremy and Roman do out there, but I think, us, kind of growing up in the city or in the suburbs of the city, like,
Yeah.
there's so many black people that we kind of don't see what Georgia is.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you from Atlanta and like cuz like you said I've lived in both. So like I was kind of shocked by how many how black Atlanta it was, once I got here. So I mean, coming from Athens, like, you got UGA there, and that's
All white.
that's mostly a white school. So but then you got the rest of Athens, like maybe Roman can even explain it's most of like the Athens population is black
It's
people.
black.
Clark County.
Yeah, like that's black people, and then you got UGA. That's like a whole nother city within our city. So it's like it's a diverse place, but there's also a little bit of that separation too from that world that is UGA. Like, I mean, when we go out, we go downtown, but we expect just to see a bunch of college students, and that's like a completely different world. Drop down in the middle of.
It's like it's
Where we
two
is.
Yeah,
sides to two sides to the same coin. Like there's Georgia outside of the Atlanta area, and then there's pretty much Georgia inside the Atlanta area. It's like is really like night and day when you think about it. It's really like night and day. By the way, I kind of just wanted to get to this because it's been a few weeks since we recorded. Just getting back into the whole college football deal. What you think of the whole mess involving Maryland?
Oh man, I'm surprised they reinstated the guy to start with, and he should have been fired a long time ago. So,
right.
I mean, I know it wasn't a situation where he wasn't even present when this happened, but
right.
You can't have this going on in your program. And I know it's it's a thing where you want it's a sport where you want to be tough, and football is what it is. But
yeah,
like at some point you gotta be smart with these guys because these are these kids' lives. Like
exactly,
it's not even about winning or losing football games at that point.
Right.
It's just do you want this kid to live? Like you walk into these kids' living rooms. When you're recruiting them, saying, I'm going to take care of your son for 4 years.
Exactly.
Well, that's a lie because you're going to take care of him to the point where he's going to help win you football games so that you're getting more money. Just be honest about it.
But basically, you're right.
Like that, but there needs to be like common sense used in situations like that.
There really needs to be.
That guy complained a couple times saying, hey, I'm not feeling too well. But the coach was like, oh, we're going to push the right. Okay, cool. But, that was the way things were done back in 1940.
Yeah, exactly.
When you hear about Bear Bryant and the Junction Boys, I'm sure those guys passed out from, all these situations, but they didn't know any better. We have the information nowadays to be able to prevent that kind of stuff from happening.
Exactly.
And it's just ignoring it is just ridiculous. To just ignore it just because you want to, because you think it's going to make them tougher. No. Now, this guy is not living anymore, and your team, and you're out there playing football, and nobody cares. Like,
right.
That's not fair.
I think I saw I was at some high school thing. I forgot what sport it was. I think it was volleyball or something like that. And I don't remember what school it was, but this was like maybe a month ago. And the kids are practicing or something, they're running, and then the coach is like, "Who's taking a water break? Cuz I know I don't give water breaks." And then I was just like, like when I heard it, it was like something you hear all the time growing up. But like things got tougher, the laws got tougher and stuff. And then I just thought about it just then. And it's just like, it's crazy, like kind of the culture that we kind of build up in sports, like the extremities we go to.
Yeah.
And I think with this is like Tim Tebow was defending it, saying like everybody wants to be like now. They reinstated him and they fired him only because of what they said on social media.
Why he
Forget
like
what
Tim Tebow
social
for
media
real.
said. We come out here and we're gonna do so nowadays people want to be liked more than they want to be respected. And I'm like, Tim, sit this one out, bud. Because a kid died, bro. Like a kid died. Like if they made the wrong decision and gave this dude his job back, in public people were like, that was a terrible decision. A kid died, and you gave this man his job back. And you fired him after you heard that, and you were like, well, maybe that isn't the best move for our program to bring this guy back. Listen to the public. I mean, that's just my opinion, but yeah.
I mean, I don't even know why. If after you heard people being outraged about it, why you couldn't come to that only? Why couldn't you come to that conclusion yourself?
I think that would have took though, because if it wasn't for that, he probably would be still coaching. Because look at Urban Meyer. I mean, it's so much more than what we see. Like, what really go on, behind closed doors with coaching and college football,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's one of those things that
Urban Meyer, I don't think he should have kept his job.
Yeah. I mean, and he straight up basically just ignored facts. And he didn't tell anyone. I mean, isn't that what Joe Paterno lost his job for?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Isn't it the same thing? How is it any different?
It's no difference.
It really isn't any different when you think about it. It really is no different. And my thing is, I just feel like that there is so much pigheadedness that's going on. Like the board of regents, I do not know what the board of regents was made of in this set, because it was basically the board of regents. I think the university president, Wallace Lowe, because Wallace Lowe wanted to get rid of Durkin. The board of regents, for some reason, wanted to keep him when he only had a 10-15 record as a head coach. So it's not like they were getting rid of Nick Saban or Les Miles or anybody like that. Yeah. So the board of regents, for some reason, wanted to keep him, but the university president wanted to get rid of him. I just think that at that point, you have to get rid of somebody like that, because if you keep him, you're practically giving your program the death penalty.
Yeah.
That's what you're pretty much
But-
giving your program, because it is a recruiting nightmare along with it being a public relations nightmare.
He has no more credibility in the living room anymore.
Well,
None.
let me ask you this: y'all think race plays a part? I mean,
Absolutely.
You think race
Sure.
plays a part?
Absolutely,
For sure.
If he was an African American man, he wouldn't have gotten a second chance. That's facts.
And even vice versa, if that was a white kid, what would you think?
Now I don't know about that.
Mm.
Now that's I don't know.
You think he would have just been out and
You know, I don't
I mean,
know about that. I mean, I really don't. I don't really know because I don't know. I don't know about that one.
But for sure, like you said, if it was an African American coach, if it was an African American coach, because college football has a problem with African American coaches already.
Yeah.
If this was FAMU, and,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
No, he'd been gone.
and the drum majors hazed the kid to death.
He'd have been gone.
Probably.
Didn't those kids go to jail?
I'm pretty sure they did.
Mm.
I
mean,
don't
I'll
know.
have to look
I don't
it
know
up.
the facts of that, and I'm not going to say I'm sure about it because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they did, and they lost their program for a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then back to your point about bringing Durkin back, like even if you're not even looking at the fact that hey, this guy had a kid die on his watch, like
Yeah.
bringing him back basically condones the culture that he was bringing along with him that resulted in this happening.
Because there were other things that was going on in it that, even though this is the one that everybody, of course, is focusing on, there were reports that came out about, things of vomit being thrown at players.
Yes.
There was something else that came out about how the punter was assaulted allegedly by other players because he spoke about.
And this was Monday of last week. Like,
Exactly.
This is not stuff that happened in the summer. This is
This
stuff
is
that
recent.
happened recently. So the fact he came back brought that venom and that distastefulness back into the culture of Maryland football. That's not what at that point you need to take and look at it and say, hey, this guy's culture isn't what we want to. It's not what we're wanting to align.
and
with
it's
our
definitely not a
values.
winning culture because he's 10-15 as a coach.
Yeah. So it ain't working. So he's doing all these extremes and it's not working. So
What's so crazy, though, about it is that they just, it was one of those issues where everybody was looking on the schedule and say, okay, we want Maryland to lose and everything like that because, we really want to show them, you really want to, want them to learn their lesson. Then we look at the schedule, we find out that they're playing Michigan State. So that was really what I like to call the sleaze bowl because we don't know the stuff that happened with Michigan State and Larry Nassar. Yeah. So it's just so crazy. But I did see somebody else that said, like, the student athletes didn't have anything to do with this, but the attendance for the game when they played Michigan State was just a shade over 30,000. And Michigan State typically draws like 50,000 in attendance. So it's pretty obvious that on that campus in College Park, right outside of Washington, D.C., that there was a lot of backlash going on.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I don't blame him directly for the situation. That particular situation. But like I said, the culture is his, and he should be held responsible for the culture he allows. I mean, as a football coach in college, like you can't be there with those kids in the summer. That's the rule. Like you have to basically you turn them over to the strength and conditioning coach in the summer, and this is when this incident occurred. So he wasn't there for that, but you definitely have a management role in what happens as far as how to develop the strength and conditioning program throughout the summer and how you want to allow your coaches in the summer to work with the kids. So I don't blame him for the kid's death. I blame him for the culture that led to the kid's death. So
pretty much.
In my book, that's just as responsible because, you have to be more mindful of what's going on in your program.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what Roman said with Urban Meyer.
Right.
As a football coach, you're not just a football coach anymore. Bear Bryant was just a football coach. Vince Dooley, when he was Georgia's coach, was just a football coach. He worried about what happened on the football field. Now football brings in so much money that, it's like you're held responsible now when stuff happens at your university, especially with one in the football program. And you don't know about it because you're now the GM, you're the coach, You're the PR person. You're the person that all these kids look up to as the father figure. So
Right.
They have to be able to trust you, and the parents have to be able to trust you to send your kids there. And when that goes away, you gotta go. So
You gotta go. And in the case of Maryland, I was just mentioning earlier about how Saban's the highest paid public employee in the state of Alabama. The football coach at the University of Maryland, the second highest paid public employee in the state of Maryland.
Wow.
I mean, with all this going on in college football, it just made me think, what are these coaches are willing to hide just to have a winning program?
And just to bring in big money.
Just to bring
it's
in
scary
big
to
money.
think about.
It's scary to think about. It is.
Yeah, it really is scary to think about. Shout out, by the way, to the we worked at the student newspaper Georgia State, The Signal. Shout out! I gotta give a quick shout out to the Diamondback, the student newspaper at the University of Maryland. I've been reading their coverage and following them throughout this DJ Durkin mess, and they have been killing it too. So shout out to y'all up to in College Park at the Diamondback newspaper in Maryland. All right, let's shift gears and go a little bit lighter.
The FAMU drum major got 4 years.
Oh, he got 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Because you said you wanted to talk a little bit college basketball, Shad?
Yeah. I wanted to see who y'all are most excited to watch this season in college basketball.
As far as players or teams?
Yeah, both really. But
Ooh, give me a minute. Come back to me.
Well, I watched the highlight. I guess Duke played their first. How many exhibition games have been played in college basketball?
I think you played 2.
I think 2.
well, I mean, they played like 2 international games over the summer.
Yeah, they played in the
Well, I seen a highlight of Duke playing, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say on that, man.
Yeah.
I think the team is Duke for me, obviously. But I don't know. Player, I might say Nasir Little.
North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nasir Little as my, because he was the guy who kind of went under the radar among all of the 5 stars.
Yeah, he did.
And the
He
All-Americans.
really
And then when it came down to it, playing those guys one-on-one, he beat them every single time. So I think Nasir Little is a guy who has a chip on his shoulder. Everybody's talking about Duke right now. He's being overlooked right now. Everybody's talking about Bo after his first exhibition game. So I think Nasir Little is a guy who could be wake some people up this year.
Bobo, that Jeremy boy.
What did you think of that? I text Roman after I saw Bobo play, and I told him to check him out, and I hadn't heard what he thought of Bobo yet, so I kind of want to hear what Roman has to say about Bobo.
Is it one of those years though where like you were saying, Duke? I mean, they're in the conversation just about every year though, or at least close to being in the conversation.
This is different.
Yeah, this is different as far as the excitement level, as far as what they have on the court. Now, as far as where they're going to end up, I don't know. I don't see this team being able to win a championship. Like, it's just like,
I think Sweet 16. I think
it's their ceiling.
Duke, yeah. I think if they get to the Sweet 16, it's a success.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to these kids. Like, all these guys are going to be stars in the NBA.
They all play the same position.
They play the same position. They don't have
and
a
they
point.
play at Duke, which
they got
gives them
5
more
small
exposure.
forwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to work basketball-wise. But, I mean, I could see this, like, looking at it at the big picture of the storyline of what college basketball could be. This could be like, when Michigan was in the early '90s when they had Chris Webber,
When they had the Fab Five.
The Fab Five. This is as close to that as we have been since it happened.
What about Kentucky?
I don't think like that.
With John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins.
Even that wasn't a Fab Five. That was. You had 2 guys that you knew were going to be superstars in the NBA, and then you had a couple guys that were just, okay, whatever.
One and dones.
Like, yeah, they were all one and dones, but they weren't this. Like, you got 3 guys that can go in the top 3 picks in the draft this year.
Yeah.
Like
Perhaps.
I can't think of a time where that's ever happened other than with the Fab
Oh, you
Five.
talking about Duke?
Duke, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and I personally, the player I'm most excited to watch. It's funny that I'm gonna say this because if you know anything about my history as far as this player, you're gonna be.
I already know who it is.
Oh man, I hate to say this. I hate saying this.
Oh no!
I want to see what Zion Williamson's gonna do.
Whoa! Wow!
Not because I think he's gonna be a great. Not because I think he's gonna be great in the
Look out.
NBA. I just really want to know what he is because I haven't seen
He's a
him.
hooper, bro. That's what he is.
I just know he can dunk.
He's a hooper, Jeremy.
Straight up baller.
He better lose some weight. So
I seen the man play, bro. I seen him play. I seen the exhibition highlights.
I just want to know what he is. It's not because I think he's gonna be this great player, and I don't think he's gonna have a great year.
I seen
none
that
of that. I
when
just
I
wanna
seen
know
that
what he
man
is.
hitting threes.
I'm gonna have to
I'm
see
like,
more.
bruh, it's
I'm gonna
over
have to
for
see
y'all.
more. I mean,
Right.
I seen him. Pull
It's more of a
I know
curiosity.
I seen him do the fake. Ooh, drive to the lane.
Oh,
Boom.
I
haven't
got him
seen that.
started.
So I'm gonna have to see
I
that.
ain't seen none of that.
I haven't seen that.
I seen him get the rebound, then put it up like the Big Dipper. I said Big Dipper. Big Dipper. I seen him. You know.
Poopity scoop.
Right, exactly. I seen him block some shots. So Zion is a hooper, bro. And I think the dunks, like, you know, just take that away. Like, it's like Trey. Maybe like Trey's deep threes took away from the fact that he could pass and stuff. You know, like
that's a fair
when you're looking from afar, because, you know, we didn't follow Trae Young that closely last year.
No,
you know?
he was
I
in
don't know.
Oklahoma.
I watched him quite a bit last year, honestly.
I
but-
watched him when he started getting buzz.
yeah,
But it was like
I had never heard of him
right,
until
right,
then.
right.
So,
Like, because I had the first week of the season, he put up like 40 for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started hearing people talk about him. That's when I started seeing him pull up from the logo at the end of games. And I'm like, yo, who is this kid? But, like, I was hype on Colin. Y'all know that. I'm still kind of hype on Colin because, I don't know, man. His drive, bro. I think his drive is what's hindering his growth right now. But, you know, I think, like, as time goes on and he gets a little more under control.
I feel like he'll develop that
He needs a
it.
coach. He needs a coach to control him. You know, when you – what they got going on right now in Cleveland with Larry Drew, you know, asking for a raise in the public and, you know, getting rid of T. Lue so early.
Yeah.
It's a bad. It's a bad situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt like when they drafted him, I was like, that's a bad situation. Unless LeBron was gonna stay.
Yeah.
And LeBron was not going to stay because, of course, he had his eyes on L.A. because LeBron, as we talked about in the past, he's in that mode of his career where he's trying to be a multimedia platform mogul. Like,
Hold
it's
on.
bigger than basketball now
on.
for LeBron.
Wait for the NBA, college basketball.
Yeah.
Wait on the NBA. Who y'all got for the NBA? I mean, college basketball.
Winning it all? That's a good question.
That really is.
Because you got to think about the teams that it's usually the team that has the veterans, right?
Yeah.
That have gotten to about the Final Four, Elite Eight the year before, and they're bringing back a lot of players. I don't know who that is.
I
this
mean,
year. Maybe Kentucky.
Duke will be the team that will be exciting, and they will have the headlines. That's cool.
Who went to the draft last year from Kentucky?
Oh,
Because Kentucky made it to the
the
Sweet
point
16
guard
last year.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh yeah.
I went to the Knicks.
Kevin Knox.
Knox. Oh man, that's their best players.
Hamidou Diallo.
Yeah, that was the dark skinned dude.
They lost it.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Gabriel. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went. Yeah. Oh, that's their best player. So
But
they brought in 2 McDonald's guys.
Ashton Hagens.
No, 3, 4.
They
actually,
had a good.
if you count.
Their classes was as good as it's been. the
Yeah,
last couple of
yeah.
years, but it was overshadowed by Duke's
Dude,
class.
yeah, because they had 2 McDonald's guys at the time of the McDonald's game.
Yeah.
Then they got the boy from Wheeler, who was also no. The boy from Wheeler,
Oh,
who was
yeah. I can't think of his
EJ
name.
Montgomery.
Yes.
EJ Montgomery, he committed after McDonald's game, and then Hagens reclassified and went to. So you got 4 boys.
Yeah. So they gonna still beat Kentucky, but I don't trust them. in
Yeah,
the
they
tournament.
So
don't-
what
they don't have
veteran
enough
teams we
veteran
have out
teams.
there? Like who?
Kansas
who's
State, maybe? Who from Kansas State went to the league?
Nobody.
And Kansas State went to the what?
Bill Walker.
The Elite Eight.
Well, nah,
Bill
they
Walker.
did- they
And
had
doesn't
that-
Kansas
they
State
did
get
have that
out-recruited by
guard.
Kansas all the time?
Oh yeah, they did have.
Well,
a
I mean,
guard.
but Kansas State went to they beat Kentucky last year in the Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah, they did.
So Kansas State might do it.
But they lost out on that guard. What was the guard
I
name?
can't remember his name.
Ended up going to
That's
the
how you know
Hornets.
they are
Went to the
real.
Hornets.
They a real
Oh,
team.
I have no idea. What you're talking about.
I mean that's how you know they're a real college basketball team though. When you like who he went to. That's the real teams right there, man.
He just went to. He got drafted by.
When you know all
See,
the
I know that
names, all the
because,
one and dones.
He
That's the
got
fancy
traded to the
stuff.
Hawks,
Yeah.
and then they traded him on draft night.
No, you talking about Kansas? That's Devontae Graham.
Okay. Oh,
You
who,
talking
who, who was talking about?
He was
Kansas?
talking about somebody from Kansas State.
Oh, Kansas
I don't
State.
know who he was
Okay,
talking about,
okay.
Yeah.
But Kansas State, I think they went to like the Final Four last year. So
I
they're
think
bringing
they
back
did
a lot
too.
of guys.
My
think they did
my
too.
Final Four will be Nevada, Cincinnati, Oregon, and Kansas.
I'm not picking a Final Four until I see the brackets come out. Because for all I know, one of them teams could very well be.
Oh,
two of them
that's cheap.
teams could be
That's
in
true.
the
That's
could
true.
be in the same bracket.
Man, come out here on that limb with me, Akeem. Come out there. We'll redo it when the brackets come out.
Yeah, we'll redo it in the bracket.
But if I got all 4 teams and I'm right now,
We're playing back this tape.
I'm good.
We're playing
Play it.
back this tape.
Play it back.
Play it back. Run it back.
Now, I'm not saying them teams gonna be the Final Four. I'm just saying right now, if I had to pick today, I'd them my 4 teams.
I just feel like I just don't think Duke's gonna make it because I just think that is it the team that always has the most headlines and is always has the most hype and always is always like getting the most buzz is usually like the last few years is usually the team that we see get bounced in the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I can only think
right.
of one time where that team has won the championship.
Anthony Davis.
in
Anthony
Kentucky.
Davis.
Now that team really shouldn't have been getting that kind of hype because those were all hard-nosed guys. Like none of those guys were like they had the pretty smooth game and they were all in, all over all these magazines. Anthony Davis wasn't even like that. He was he was a late bloomer. Like he didn't grow into what he is until like his senior year in high school.
Right.
So, I mean, even he had that, that a little bit of that
Off the
hard
radar.
nose. Yeah, he had that about him. So, like that team was probably one of my favorite Kentucky teams, to be honest. And that team was great all year.
Right. And that's another thing that kind of differentiated him from the Fab Five because everybody saw the documentary, the brilliant 30 for 30 that was done on them. They got all the headlines. They got all the headlines and all the media backlash too. Like a lot of people were really, they weren't necessarily feeling that Fab Five team, but they got all the headlines for sure. So yeah, absolutely. And so how about it? So how about the NBA?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, what is there to talk about in the NBA?
I mean, Trey
Warriors are great.
Didn't he just score 24? Didn't Trey just score 24 and 15?
Yeah, he had 24-15.
Uh-huh.
why you
And
sound
5
so
rebounds.
why you sound so sad about it? Oh,
I mean,
man,
in the fourth quarter, like he tried to play a lot of hero ball, and he was really going for that dagger, and it was like it just wasn't going for him, and he kept forcing it, and that was like something I didn't like. Every single game, you're not gonna be the closer.
Yeah.
Like I think part of being the closer and part of being
picking that spot.
elite is knowing when the shot's falling and when it's not falling. You know what I'm saying? Like he was calling for the ball when like Vince brought it up and Vince had it in his hand or Brumby had it in his hand and stuff, and it was just like, bro, like if they're making more shots than you, if they're the ones that kept Atlanta with the lead. Let them do it, bro.
I think that's
what
gonna
I'm
come
saying?
with over time though, because I think Trey's still young and he's just right
Pun
now.
intended entirely.
Exactly. And I think right now we still rebuild mode. So I don't know how long this coach is gonna be around, but he's the type of player he gonna have the right coach, the right training up, and like you said, knowing when to pick, when to shoot, and when to pass.
Yeah.
I mean,
But the talent is there.
I
though.
think he does a
Definitely.
good job of that in the first 3 quarters, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I mean,
he does.
like he takes, he has really good passing and stuff. It's just last night in the fourth quarter specifically, he was really forcing it to try to go for that dagger and that highlight and that Trey Young, this is my house or whatever celebration he wanted to do.
yeah.
Do you think that some of the hype may very well be getting to him, and that's what's forcing him to take some of these fourth quarter shots?
No.
It's not getting to him.
I mean-
if the hype would have got to him, it would have got to him last year at Oklahoma.
But there was hardly any media following him at Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma's a football state.
But
And then
everything he did was on SportsCenter.
But then also, I followed that Oklahoma team a lot. Like I said, there was also times where it seemed like the team was so bad that him going out and throwing up 36 points. That was they almost got that. Oh well, he did everything he could do moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really never really got to in the situation that you're describing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm gonna be lenient on him with that because he was the best player at Oklahoma, but they were so bad that it was like, okay, he don't even know. All he knows is that I got to get mine for us to have a chance.
Yeah.
In the NBA, you don't have to do that, and I think he did a good job of that. That opening night of State Farm Arena when they beat Dallas, like that. He had a couple big highlight moments in that game, but he had 6 points going into the fourth quarter or 6 points at halftime. He wasn't. He was not shooting that night.
Who you talking about?
Trae Young,
At what game?
the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh yeah.
He kind of
Yeah.
played the
Yeah.
background, and then when they needed a big moment, you know,
He stepped up,
He
yeah.
stepped up and did it. So
right on time. My boy just sent me a screenshot from Bleacher Report. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to my boy Maurice who sent me the screenshot.
Absolutely, for sure.
Cleveland vets don't think the first rounder, quote unquote, knows how to play. From The Athletic, they're talking about Colin Sexton.
Whoa.
And then speaking of that, that's a great transition into talking about another Ricky, Luka Doncic.
Oh.
Luka Doncic, he was hooping.
I was
in San
just gonna ask what are y'all top three like for us like if we had a rookie of the year right
Oh,
now? Who would be your top three?
Doncic, Trae Young.
There you go.
Oh,
probably
Doncic and
that's
Trae
probably
Young.
my top
yeah,
three.
that's my 3. Like, that's what I said before the year started, though. I mean, it's the first week, first 2 weeks.
I probably got Ayton winning it right now.
Yeah,
I
would
mean,
too.
It's
He's
just
making it
like-
a little easy, man. He's making it a little easy.
It's crazy, man.
Like,
Yeah.
he looks like it's hard to remember that he's what 20.
Yeah.
But to
Is
tell
he-
you the truth,
It's hard to
though,
remember any of these dudes are young as well as they're playing.
Well, you know what though? Like the college game, I attribute this to the college game starting to accept some of
Some of the NBA's.
the innovation that's come down
Innovation.
from the NBA. Like because like the Duke team we just mentioned, Coach K is implementing something that's in the NBA.
Yeah, the
The
Warriors system.
The Warrior system and that positionless basketball. Like that's NBA all written all over it. So I mean it's making it easier for these guys to make the transition because the college game is starting to look a lot like the NBA game. They've even taken some of the hand checking stuff out. Like the way it's being officiated is more NBA now than it was before. So
and talking about Luka, I think he's gonna be a star, man. He make it look easy. I mean, the stats ain't telling what he's been doing this year.
He's doing
He has
stuff
a
that
pretty
hasn't
game.
been done since Magic Johnson.
There are still some
all
Hawks
rookies.
fans that are still a little bit in their feelings about why the Hawks.
They shouldn't.
I mean
I think it's still too early.
got
though,
Trae
to
Young.
tell.
Because
Luka Doncic.
if Luka's that good, then the Mavs shouldn't be in the top 5. So the Hawks will get their pick. And then plus you got someone who was arguably just as good. It's just like
Exactly.
Doncic just might have been a little more efficient, and he didn't shoot as many 30-foot jumpers that hit the side of the backboard than Dre did.
like I said when it happened, I think the Hawks made the right decision.
Right.
Just because the Hawks have had Luka Doncic before.
Yeah.
Like they've had that.
Yeah.
Like what Luka Doncic is today is what he's going to be for 8-9 years. Which, like you just said, that's a star caliber player. Don't get me wrong.
That's Joe Johnson.
But the Hawks needed something more. As a fan of the Hawks and the observer of the team for a long time, it's just like, okay, well, we are always known as that team that just has that solid, rock hard foundation star. Like, okay, cool, but that ain't what's winning championships. So
Right.
when they went after Trae, it was more of, well, if we're gonna swing hard for the home run.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd rather do that and Trae Young not be a great player than have Luka Doncic for 10 years and not win a championship.
Right.
Because if Trae Young is what he's looked like he's going to be, once you add some pieces around him, they're going to win a championship.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
they're going to be a team that can win a championship every year.
Luka Doncic is Al Horford.
Exactly.
And a point
That's
guard.
literally what Luka Doncic is. I mean, he's going to put up
Because
good
Al
stats.
Horford is literally doing the same thing he did 10 years ago as a rookie.
Yeah, it's
That is true.
just going to be what he is.
There's been no
I think
development
a better
to
version.
Horford's
though.
game.
A better version.
What?
Luka, he's gonna be a better version of that. I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
star caliber. Like
He going to be
Al
in the
Horford
All-Star
didn't
game.
deserve to go to
No.
half of them All Stars. He went to.
Yeah.
He went because he was a big man, and the big man is extinct.
And I see exactly. You're
RIP
right.
to the big man, my boy Dwight. You know, I had to,
Oh,
Oh,
Hall of
course.
Famer in this thing. You know?
Oh,
Well, you know, he
course,
actually
man.
had a big game in his debut, though.
yeah.
Yeah, actually had a
And
big
they
game.
lost. They still lost.
They garbage.
But I think
We said I want to see you in Washington.
But when he got I think he got his first rebound, and then there was a dunk, and then they said he broke he was the 7th player in NBA history to have 20,000 points and 10,000 rebounds. It was something like that. It was some crazy stat like that.
Yeah.
I think he can still help a team, but like somebody said, the big man is just the game has changed so much. Like
It's about the ones and twos. It ain't about the fours and
Yeah.
fives.
and even them, they
threes.
want to be point guard.
It's about the
Exactly.
threes.
You see big
man.
man pulling up from almost half court now. I mean, just the other day, I think I saw DeAndre Jordan shoot a 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah. What I was trying to get to originally, Doncic, excuse me. San Antonio game, he's balling out. I think he had maybe 28 that night, maybe even 30. But he's balling out. He gets the ball, shoots a three, and he makes it. And then the camera goes in on him as he's going back on defense. And he's like, "Give me the effing ball." And then a couple days later, Dallas is at home, and this one went viral where he's about to rebound the ball, and DeAndre pushes him out the way to get the rebound. And then Doncic kind of walks off like, "What the heck, man," with his head down, and then goes back to play on offense. And that's the thing, that friction is there. I don't know if there's something to it. What y'all got to say about that, man? Those are two things that were caught on camera that I kind of noticed.
To me, it's I really don't know where that would come from. Like, it's really weird to me. It's like, you got this young kid out there playing, and he definitely seems to value winning. Yeah. Like what else can you ask for from a young kid? Like,
that's confidence.
He's not coming into the NBA saying, "Hey, I want to get mine. I'm trying to get my brand built. I'm trying to, you rarely see that nowadays. Like, most of these kids come in the league, I got to get my stats and I got to get my money and I got to get big. Right.
Or the bright lights of the NBA shine on them, and all of a sudden they get cold feet.
They're small, but this guy, like, he's going out there every night and competing to win. And when I took the "give me the effing ball" as, okay, he knows he's rolling. Most times when that's happening, the other four guys on the court can see that also and say,
"Yeah,
oh, we got to get this guy the ball."
Right.
He literally having to beg for the ball, and he's their best player right now. Like,
he wants the ball.
I mean,
he wants the ball.
Trying to win.
I think it's
confidence.
I think it's anything with the whole European thing. Like, he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, that may be there also, but also, like, I don't know. It's like, I've seen him in nights when I've watched him play where he wasn't shooting well, and he just kind of he didn't have an issue falling into the rotation and getting the ball to where it needed to go, because it just went his night. You know what I mean? Like, against the Hawks, he started off hot, but in the second half he didn't have it, so he wasn't forcing shots and forcing shots. He was just kind of,
he wasn't Westbrooking it.
He was playing within the flow of the game, but. When you going, you want the ball, man. Like,
especially when you got the hot hand.
Yeah,
when you got the hot hand, and that hoop looks bigger than the Atlantic Ocean. You want the ball,
and you trying to win. Like, I mean, I can't. I don't know why they would. I really don't know where that friction's coming from, and I really feel like he may have rubbed people the wrong way, just because some people think rookies should come in and just be seen and not heard, but.
But do you? But
that ain't the person you drafted,
right? That's not the person you drafted, and I feel like if you want somebody who actually has confidence, you're not going to draft that type of person. Like, we're seeing it develop with Trae Young. Like, we're seeing it. Like, it's one of those issues where I feel like he's the type of guy that you want to give the ball to in the fourth quarter, and you want to give the ball in the fourth quarter to your best player.
Yeah,
that's who's getting the ball in the fourth quarter.
But you ain't gonna hear Trae Young.
The bench player ain't getting the ball in the fourth quarter.
But you're not gonna hear Trae Young say that to Vince Carter. Like, he's not gonna tell Vince Carter, "Give me the ball." Like, so I can see why, it may have seemed a little disrespectful, but I also understand that the Dallas Mavericks expectations and the Hawks expectations should be two different things.
Yeah, Dallas trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, Dallas is a team that should be in the playoffs.
They gave up their draft pick.
Yeah,
but I think down the road they gonna respect that. Like you said, he's a young kid, and just the hunger, the hunger he has in him. That, like you said, that winning mentality, and him just wanting the ball and to win games. I mean, I think down the road they gonna respect that, and I think it's young. It's still young, young season, still early in the season. So
yeah,
I feel like they still haven't really figured each other out. Maybe, So
I mean, and then. Hey, we ain't talking about somebody that's used to losing either. Yeah. Like, Luka's won everywhere he's gone. So
since 12, maybe.
yeah. Like, he's never been on the team that's just been awful. So I could see that being a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, but the whole DeAndre Jordan thing, I don't even know why he would do that. I mean, I guess
stat filler.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was about to say. DeAndre Jordan get paid for getting rebounds, so
he got to lead the league in rebounds.
He got to get his money, man, and his stats. So I mean, Luka getting that little extra rebound wouldn't have helped him.
I wonder if DeAndre Jordan, because people have asked him about it, especially at media day this year, if he regrets, re-signing with LA.
No, I'm sure he does because I think.
I mean, because he went to the exact team where he was going to in the first place.
and it wasn't even like he thought about it. It was like, I'm going home. I'm going to Dallas. That's
Man,
what I
I
want
really
to do.
don't think
He
it
said,
matter.
"Yeah,
I
I'll trade
mean,
him,
they accepted him with open arms, gave him almost just the same amount, right?
but-" Yeah.
So
I
I mean,
mean-
it really don't matter.
I feel like the Clippers kind of sold him on this thing that when what was really was going on. Like, they kind of made it seem like, okay, well, we gonna do anything to do that it takes to win, and then they kind of, they brought that team back together, and then they kind of just thought that same team was gonna win a championship, but
It's a total disappointment. They had so much talent on them teams.
They really
man.
did.
I
They really
mean,
did.
but did they though?
And then
They just had-
everybody left.
I
I mean, they had aging
top
talent.
5 point
I remember
guard.
they had Crawford and Paul Pierce and Josh Smith on the bench.
That's what I'm saying. Like that ain't gonna scare
And
nobody.
Grant Hill.
That's
They
not
had
gonna
Grant
beat the
Hill,
Warriors,
too,
man.
They had an aging team. It seems though, the Clippers.
I mean, think about it. It was the Warriors before they had KD, and I mean, looking at it when they first played, I'm pretty sure even me, I picked the Clippers beating the Warriors that year. Just the fact. I mean, you had the Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan. I mean,
The Warriors
Blake
glowed
Griffin,
up out of nowhere, bro. Like,
and
I'm
they,
not
you
gonna
know,
lie.
and when Golden State beat them, I was just like, wow,
Let's be real with it. Like, Golden State, they glowed up.
They
Like,
did.
they did.
Yeah.
because Steph was just okay. And then I think the turning point, to be honest, was when Drake shouted him out in 0 to 100.
Oh my god.
The second Drake said, Ben Steph Curry with the shot, bruh, that
Wow.
man went from above average NBA player to the best player in the league.
Man, Drake needs to shout out some of his Toronto Raptors.
He
Maybe they'll
never
they'll
was
get
the
to the
best
finals
player
this
in
year.
the league. Never.
Stick to his
But-
hometown.
Hold on. Let's
Stick to his hometown.
my last point about the Clippers.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin was the reason that didn't work because he ended up not developing at all. Zip that up in a bag.
He got a little shot. He had a little shot.
Okay, cool. He can't. That ain't nothing.
He had a game winner, a 3-point game winner last year.
But Blake,
I said that all the way
but
wrong.
Blake Griffin is
But
one of
last year
those
in Portland.
players. I feel like Blake Griffin is one of he's more notable and famous for what he's done in dunk contests more than
That's
what
what
he's
I'm
done
saying. They need
on the
more
court.
than
And a
the-
comedian. He's
And a
funny
comedian
dude.
and his commercials.
Yo, he
They needed
went
more than
toe-to-toe
the Lob
with
City
Jeff Ross.
in LA.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
needed. They
Instead
needed.
of Lob
we got
City,
Lob
it
City
became
South
Sob
when
City.
John Collins come back.
Instead of
Sob
Lob City, it became Sob City because everybody freaking left that mess.
Yeah,
Everybody freaking
they-
left.
They really did.
Yeah.
Nah, they got rid
Then
of
he had
him.
to coach trading his own son away.
And the thing is, the Clippers.
heard that.
The thing that's so sad about the Clippers is that they had their shot. They had that little window of maybe we can overtake the Lakers as the number one team in LA, and then everything just started falling apart. And I feel like what really did it when they blew that 3-1 lead to Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when they
that-
announced
that
it
what
at
did
Dodger Stadium, everybody cheered. that's a
Because you
Laker
got to
town.
think about it. That year they beat San Antonio.
Yeah.
That year they beat San Antonio. I don't know if it was in the first or the second.
It's in the
It was the
second
second
round.
round.
It was
And
there
he-
for the
and he
beat
was
taking.
San
like- It
Antonio.
was like Game 7.
Then you lose to Houston
And Chris Paul.
Bro,
Hey,
from a
Dwight
3-1 lead.
Howard,
3-1 lead.
Dwight
They did a
Howard,
Georgia. They were a Georgia
Josh
team that
Smith,
year.
It definitely was a
Corey
Georgia team.
Brewer, Jason Terry, them boys. Hey,
Just think about it. They had Eric
that's
Bledsoe on
That's
the bench.
why I defended Dwight Howard so much, just because he did that literally like 3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, but when are we gonna give Chris Paul
The
some
blame.
blame?
Yeah,
Because
he got to get some.
because like I keep hearing how he gets this pass and he's never played with such and such and such and such and
He's always played with good teams. He had good teams when he was in New Orleans with the Hornets.
thank you. That New Orleans team was
David
nowhere
West
near.
was an all-star.
Exactly.
Tyson
New Orleans
Chandler
was
was an
nowhere
all-star.
near as terrible as people want to make. Or he could not get out of the first round, but he was the best point
Peja
guard in the NBA.
Stojakovic was one of the best three-point shooters in the league.
Yeah, he
Thank
was
you.
dropping buckets.
Exactly.
He was
I mean,
dropping buckets.
I'm ready for like somebody just to say,
Dang,
well,
Russell Butler died, didn't he?
yeah, earlier this year in a car crash.
R.I.P. man, because Russell Butler was on them.
He was
teams,
on them
right?
teams.
He was on those teams.
They had Mo Peterson was a good player.
He was kind of like a Trevor Ariza of sorts for them.
Yeah, but he can shoot too. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
like
R.I.P.
that
Russell
team,
Butler,
that
man.
team had a good team.
They
man.
did have some teams, and not only that, but they had New Orleans hyped. Like New Orleans is typically a football town, but they had, I remember some of them crowds that the Hornets were drawing when they were in New Orleans. Them were some loud
David
crowds.
West. They had David West on that team.
David
That's
West
what I
was-
said.
man,
That
he
was an
balling, man.
all-star.
He
Like,
was
they were
20
hyped.
and 10.
David super
West,
hype.
Remember when David West made the All-Star team over LeBron?
Oh God,
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
a crazy
crazy.
year.
I mean,
Some of them
He
years,
proved
man.
it. He proved it later that season.
and then
though.
man, people want to say, "Oh, Chris Paul was the reason the Rockets were up 3-1." I mean, 3 whatever it was on the Warriors last year, which he may have well been.
3-2, I think it was.
But at the end of the day, they didn't get it done because why? He got hurt again. Again, like he keeps getting hurt again, over and over. And it's the same injury over and over again.
We talked about this before. If he was
this year,
if he was healthy, they would have beat Golden State last year.
They probably would have, but
woulda, coulda,
that's
shoulda.
the same thing that happened in LA. And then he after a certain amount of time, he starts to rub on people the wrong way, and don't nobody want to play with him no more.
Yep.
Because he's too competitive.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and you feel like it kind of gets to his head, and it kind of, like you said, rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to you. You said
let's put that clipper thing in a little bag and throw that in the trash.
Yeah, just move.
So you said
move to Seattle.
Steph Curry.
He was the best player in the league at one time.
I think he's the best player in the world right now. Dude averaging like 23 points in the first half of every game.
Yeah.
Dude breaking a NBA record every single game this year. I think Steph Curry is taking it to another level this year.
They're especially taking it to the next level with all them threes. Klay Thompson, 14 threes in the game.
I think LeBron James has LeBron James isn't LeBron James of last year.
Okay, let me ask you this. So what is all put into considering the person being the best player? Is it just what are you looking at?
I'm looking at scoring, but I'm also looking at you kind of have to look at the way that teams can play him, right? So if teams are doing everything they can to stop Steph Curry, and I already know Jeremy's argument because we talked about this before. Like they're running, changing defensive schemes, and they're running everybody at him and trying to trap him, and he just finds a way to get the shot off and make every single shot, driving to the lane, getting bumped, getting clawed and scratched every time he's running along the baseline like Rip Hamilton or whatever.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the finals started last year, let's say we was to make a trade to put Curry. Well, it was a sweep anyway, but okay. So you trade let's say before the regular season, you put Curry on that Cavalier team, you put LeBron on the Golden State. Do the Cavaliers make it out the first round?
Do they make it out the first round?
Yeah.
Yes.
They do? Do they make it to the championship?
I would say they have a good chance of winning the East.
No. What you think?
I don't know. We'll to be determined. Episode 90 of the A-League in the books. Once again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's we'll continue this next week for sure. Let's get on up out of here, shall we?
This is Jeremy Johnson. Twitter Clark_Kent_75.
RashadMilligan.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza.
Roman Stevens. You can follow me just on Facebook at Roman Stevens.
As Roman Stevens.
No Twitter, no Gram.
No nothing, man. I'm old school, bro.
It's crazy that Facebook is considered old school. But
yeah, it really is. I actually am on Twitter, Graham Akeem Balaam, AKIEMBAILUM. Also on BeyondTheW.com. Go and vote.
Y'all must thought that I was gone whisper the whole time.
Mistress, diamonds they wear like go fishing. Y'all don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Rarries. I don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Audis. I don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want friends, I want Audis. I dig it, bleed looking salty.